Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. It's a great pleasure being with you here on this Sunday evening. This is the Gateway Show on 6 to 7 p.m. every Sunday night, live. And it's a great pleasure to be with you here tonight. And broadcasting on the number one, Susan, I can't get it out of my mouth, number one talk station in Las Vegas, and also simulcasting on Facebook. So if you want to, I just realized I got to push a button there. If you want to listen to this show on Facebook, it would be a great pleasure to have you listen there. And you can always share what's going on Facebook with any of your friends also. So you can listen here. And then not only that, it was kind of fun. There we go. We're now live on Facebook right now. And not only that, I also put these shows on YouTube. So you can always just type in Gateway, Robert Sidell, or Gateway Miracle. Hey, Debbie, good to see you. It's always nice to see some of my good friends that listen pretty much every week, which is a nice gift to all of us. It makes a difference. But this show is really designed to create a positive, healing, rejuvenating experience. And so that's really the intention of this show is wherever you're at in your life. You know, I've been alive 72 years now. And I don't think it's any different for me than anybody else. It takes time for each one of us. You know, the world is always sending lots of messages that we could interpret in a negative way. And it's up to us to kind of rejuvenate ourselves. It's up to us to figure out a way to become excited about our existence again. And it's a constant reinvention of our life. And it probably is even more so as you get older, in all honesty. And when people enter into their 60s or 70s, and it's all great. Some people are ready to retire. That's wonderful. God bless them. They can often have very wonderful, beautiful experiences that way. But whatever you're doing, in my case, I haven't retired. But what I have to do, though, is kind of reinvent myself to stay excited about the future, the possibilities of my life. Interestingly enough, in my life, and I couldn't have planned this, but it turns out some of my most successful time in my career have been in the last ever since I've been 65, which is kind of interesting to think about that. For me, it's interesting. And so it just gets more exciting and better, which is kind of an amazing adventure for me. That's in my as an attorney. I've now been an attorney for 47 years. 47 years. And so, you know, and what's fun for me, every single week I get people calling me, you know, that I might have worked with 20 years ago, sometimes even 25 years ago. And they still remember me and send their friends in. And luckily, I still have their pictures and from when I first met them and in their information about them a lot of times. And a lot of times I remember who they are. And so it's a really rewarding experience for me. So it's like, for me, it's like, how do you, in this journey called life, how do you stay excited about the potential of your life so you can begin to unfold within yourself the magic, the wonder, and the joy? And that's really what this show's about. If you like the idea, if you want to harvest the abundant possibilities of your life, then my friends, I would say this is the place for you to tune in right now. Whether you're on the radio, and for those of you on the radio, I know there's loyal listeners on the radio every week because some of you call me at different times. I want you to know I know you're there and love each one of you, and I'm grateful to each one of you for your support in my life. And it's this, like I said, this is really a virtual a virtual gathering where we can lift each other up in spirit, in joy, in grace, and in goodness. So that's what this show is about, 100%. So I'm going to put on a little bit of music right now, just to kind of do an initial starting process. So wherever you are, I just want you just to kind of join in with me. If you happen to be in a car, of course, keep your eyes wide open. If you're at home, eye open or not, it doesn't really matter. So wherever you are right this second, I want you to stop and reflect that you are a miraculous being living in a miraculous world. You are a miraculous being living in a miraculous world, wherever you are. And wherever you are right now, you are actually surrounded by opportunity, by possibilities, by joy, by love, waiting, knocking at the door of your soul, waiting for you to open that door. You are surrounded by grace and love and goodness. Whether it seems like that or not, you are. Right now, you're surrounded by people that would like to know you better. They would like to share love with you on all sorts of different levels. But I'm talking right now just about the kind of love of a friendship and joy. But it could be anything. I mean, your best friend may be waiting for you, right now. The best friend you've ever had for a long, long time. So you never know when somebody new is going to step into your life that will change it in radical ways, and in radically wonderful ways. And you know what else? It's not just that the person could change your way. You don't know when one idea will come into your mind where suddenly you have a new career idea, a new form of entertainment, a new kind of purpose. There's lots of exciting things to do. In January this year, I flew down to Mexico City and had a chance to interview Miss Mexico. That was a lot of fun. Very sweet young lady, about 27 years old. And I got to get a tour of the Mexican legislative building, a high security place, met an important senator, got a chance to talk with him. So these are things that are exciting and they're fun. They make life interesting. And I know I've got a lot of things waiting in my future just like that. New possibilities. I had a chance about 2 or 3 months ago now, gosh, time goes by quickly, to go down to Houston and tour the NASA Center where, the first moon mission occurred. And I got a chance to speak there at NASA. And that was a wonderful experience. And then I also, that same weekend, got a chance to meet Joel Osteen. And I had a personal meeting with him. And you know what? He said a prayer for me, which I really appreciated. I know lots of people have different opinions about him, and that's all right. That's just the story of life. But you know something? He's a very sincere, to me, he comes across as very sincere and devoted to his spiritual journey in life. And so I was very grateful to have a chance to meet him personally, and it was very nice of him to say a prayer for me. And I will always appreciate that. So now I can tune on the radio and think, hey, I know this guy, and he's a nice person. And I got a chance to meet other people at his church, some of his parishioners, and very, very nice, very kind of salt to the earth, very decent, down-to-earth people. So that's what I'm saying. Life is filled with these exciting possibilities. What can you do that seems exciting to you? Those things aren't necessarily in your path, but you have exciting things in your path waiting for you. What kind of things could be more fun for you? What could you do to expand your life? What kinds of things could you do to make your life more exciting to you? You see, that's the possibility we all have in this life. We just have the ability to keep cultivating our mind and opening ourselves to, I call it a miracle, a cascade of miraculous good. Cascade of miraculous good. You probably have heard the term a vicious cycle. Oh, somebody's in a vicious cycle. One bad thing's happening after another. Okay, that can happen sometimes. But how about this, my friends? How about if you were in a virtuous cycle? A cycle that's going upward. So one good thing happens, ricochets off another good thing, then another good thing, and another good thing, and another good thing. What about that? Would you be willing to have that in your life? Would you be willing to have joy and love and peace and grace in your life? Would you be willing to open yourself to a new beginning in this life? Would you be willing to, at this moment in time, let new adventures unfold inside of you that are better and greater than you ever imagined? That's the question, isn't it, for each of us? And the question is, how do you want to be able to wake up in the morning and say, I wonder what amazing things are going to happen today. What amazing things are going to happen today. And I got to tell you, since I started doing that in my life, the good things that happen just keep unfolding. It does set up a virtuous cycle. It sets up an opportunity to be more fulfilled and happier and better than you ever could have imagined. So that's my invitation to you tonight. If you're joining with me here tonight in this show, be open to a virtuous miracle cascade in your life, where when one good thing after another starts to happen. And by the way, I say that also to anybody who may be listening later on to this on YouTube. Wherever you are, happen to listen to this at some time, open yourself to the miracle working power of God and goodness. I listened to a recording of a gentleman who my mom really liked, and the funny part of it is he died in 1962, and I still listen to his things. And one of the things he said in one of his recordings I like, he goes, For everybody that's listening right now, and including those that are listening in the recording, whenever you might listen. So even though he uttered those words back in 1960, all these years later, I'm listening and know he meant that for me as much as anybody. So I say the same thing to anybody else that's listening right now, that wherever you are, even if this is some point in the future or we've never met, amazing, miraculous possibilities surround you right now. You are a miracle worker in a miraculous kingdom. You are an adventurer on planet Earth. What adventures could you bring into your life? What joy could you bring into your world? This life is waiting for your grace and your good. God is waiting to pour. There's a biblical saying, which is that God desires to pour his abundance upon you, pressed down and multiplied upon you. Are you willing to accept that? Are you willing to accept a beautiful life? Are you willing to accept God's infinite blessings? Are you willing to accept that you are fully loved and embraced by God exactly as you are? That you don't have to change anything about yourself? Are you willing to accept that tonight? That's my invitation to each one of you. That you, at this moment, can change your life forever. You're listening to The Gateway Show. This is Robert Sidell, and we're going to go to a break for those of you on the radio, and I'll be back in just a moment. I will stay with you on FaceTime, and those of you listening on the radio will be back in just a couple of minutes. So stay tuned. I'll be back in a second with you. This is Robert Sidell, The Gateway Show. So my friends that are listening right now or in the future, this life is an extraordinary adventure. It's better than we could ever dream of. It's better than we could ever imagine. But it's up to us, isn't it? I guess that's the fairness of life, isn't it? Each of us gets to make that choice. Are we going to trust in God and goodness? Are we going to trust in that there's something wonderful waiting for us? Better than we could ever dream of? Oh, interesting. Huh. I think I got a good connection. I had a little bit of an interrupted thing there. Hopefully it'll be okay in a second. Wherever you are, whatever's going on in your life, at this moment, just start to look around you, yourself, and see that God is good, that life is good, and there's amazing possibilities. 1 second here. By the way, this is my book. If you don't have a copy of it, you can come by. I got to turn this the right way. You can come by my office and get a free copy of it. It's designed to open you to miraculous possibilities. I try to review it some every day. Here's a thought for you. Awaken from the hypnotic spell of limitation. You could do that. What's holding you back right now? Think about that. What's holding you back like that? In my book, I give an example of elephants. When elephants are raised, a lot of times they've been raised in a circus or wherever they were raised. They're big, strong animals. But the way they trained them is they would put a chain around their leg. Hey, C, good to see you on there. So what they do with these young elephants, they put a chain around their leg, and initially it's staked into the ground, so if that little elephant tries to move, and it moves its chain, then guess what? It hurts. So what does that little elephant learn how to design to do, even as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger? If it feels a chain around its leg, guess what? It decides that it shouldn't move. So even if the chain's not hooked up later in its life, guess what, my friends? It will still do the very same thing. It will still stop moving. Because it learned when it was young that it's pain, and it doesn't want pain. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. It's a great pleasure to be here with you tonight. I just want you to know, this is the Gateway Show on every Sunday evening, 6 to 7 p.m. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. And I'm really always grateful to the people that tune in, both on the radio and on Facebook. And later on, if you happen to be listening on YouTube, it is on YouTube also. Just type in Robert Sidell and then Gateway, and that'll get you right to me. And you can listen to the show anytime. So whatever's going on in your life, my friends, my challenge for you tonight. See, I'm glad to hear she says this makes perfect sense. You know what? Why is it that some people open themselves to the infinite possibilities of life and others do not? I don't think we know anybody knows the answer to that. But what I do want to say to you is that, and it's not about judging anybody, but if you and I want the very best from life, a rich, abundant, good life, then we have a responsibility, don't we? We have a responsibility to open ourselves to that infinite love. Nobody else can do it for us. You have a responsibility to cultivate your mind every day with positive ideas. So tonight I entitled the show, To Trust That You're Walking into a Good Future. To trust in a beautiful future. Well, how do you do that? Sometimes we read the news and we think, oh, how could there be a good future if this person wins or that person wins in the election? Or how could there be a good future if this happens or that happens? Real good, innocent questions to ask. But you know what? It's up to you and I to say that it doesn't really matter where you and I are at. We're connected to the infinite power of divine love, and that infinite power has the ability to open us to entirely new beginnings. So that's my invitation to you tonight, to dare to know that there's an amazing, wonderful, blessed future waiting for you. An amazing, wonderful, blessed future for you. And you know what? That means that if you can dare to believe that and know that, then you're cultivating that possibility. So you have to ask yourself right now, do you really want a good future? Do you want to know love? Do you want to have an exciting, vibrant life? Better than you ever could dream of? Do you want those things? That's the first place it begins. C says, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, C, but I'm going to say, what a powerful message tonight. I'm glad you enjoy it. You know what? I think the message that comes in is a message that, hey, Ernie, how you doing? It's a message I need to hear too. As I say, I'm 72 now. First off, I've had two brothers that died a lot younger than me. So it's easy to think, oh, well, I can start to think, what do I need to do? But you know what? Then I think of my dad, who was active and vibrant and traveling all around the world in his 80s and 90s, and actually went to Antarctica when he was 92 years old. So for him, his life was an upward spiral, even in all those years. So what's it going to be for you and I? What's it going to be for you? What's it going to be for your life? What are you going to ask for in your life? What are you going to work on creating in your life? What are you going to work on accepting in your heart and soul? So, to me, it starts with faith in God. But the question I've been asking myself, what exactly is faith in God? Even though I've been working on that journey my whole life. To me, it's a constant journey of growth. Are you willing to trust God with your very destiny on this earth? That's a big trust, isn't it? Are you willing to trust in God beyond your logical mind? Anything in your logical mind? So, what does that mean? And are you willing to do that? See, for me, I've been an ordained minister since about 1983 or 1984, right in there. Hey, Jonelle. Always nice to see you. Another faithful listener to the show. Jonelle, I always appreciate seeing you. It's always fun. What does it mean to really trust in God for any of us? As I say, I was ordained many years ago, so it's been over 40 years for me. I've been an ordained minister. 47 years, I've been an ordained attorney. I've been a member of the bar for over 47 years. So, the question I have for you is, what does it mean to trust God? How deep can we go with that faith? When people asked Jesus when he was instructing us, what he said was that if you could trust in God completely, you could look at a mountain and say, move, and it would move to the sea. I mean, that's pretty powerful. How many of us ever even begin to think that's a possibility? How many of us even think that's a possibility? How many of us even think that we have access to some of the same miracle-working potential that he had? And what was interesting about that is he said very clearly, you do. Because he says, as your faith is, so it will be. But how many of us take that seriously? So my invitation to you and to me also tonight is, why not take your faith deeper? So what went through my mind this week is, what is it to trust your God? Let's say you trust in, for those of you that are Christians, you trust in Jesus for your salvation after you die, that you're going to be taken from this life to a beautiful life afterwards. That's a big act of faith, isn't it? You're trusting a lot. So I'm going to suggest to you, and a lot of people do trust that. So if you trust that, why can't you trust equally much in your life here on earth? Are you willing to go that far here too? Are you willing to say, God, you know what? I've been trying to steer my life for as long as I've been alive. And it's had some good and some bad. But I'm up for a new game. What about, I'm going to trust you with everything for so long as I live on this earth? What about that? What would that be like for you as a person? And let's say you have doubt in your mind, which is very normal. I have lots of doubts come through my mind. And those doubts, you never know where they come from. It doesn't really matter. Doubts come and they go. You don't have to stop with them. So what if you decided to really trust God completely, beyond every logical construct of your life? So what if you start saying, well, I trusted in God, but this happened or that happened? That's going back into your logical mind again. Or you could say, well, there's other people out in the world. They trusted in God and look what happened to them. Point is, the logical mind can cause us to doubt in every way. So my invitation to you here tonight is, what if you just decided you're going to trust in God beyond everything you've ever known? Why not take it to the ultimate length? If this was your last day of life and you were lying on your deathbed, would you trust in God then? If this was your last day on earth. I had a good friend that got cancer it's about 20 years ago now. And he eventually had to give up his business, and eventually went to go live in his ex-wife's house. She was so very kind to him and said, come and stay here. And he didn't live too long, but he was able to live there. And I remember talking to him, and he said, I'm finally living the life I want to live. I thought, wow, that's too bad. He lived his life. He was in his 60s, or maybe, I don't know how, he was in his 60s, let's just say at that time. But he was finally living the life he wanted. What was that life in his case? Daily prayer, meditation, love, devotion. And that's what he said, I finally am living the way I want to live. But he died about 2 or 3 weeks later. I thought, wow. With no criticism of him, and I'm not mentioning his name, of course, but I think, that's kind of sad. Lived his whole life, but the last 3 weeks, he lived the way he wanted to live. What I'm going to say to you is, why don't you choose to live the way you would want to live starting right now, if you haven't so far? Why don't you make this the moment? Don't wait till 3 weeks before you die. Why don't you open yourself to the idea that you have a better life waiting for you right now? And if it comes to the faith in God, why wait to the last moment and say, okay, now I'm going to trust you, God. I'm about to leave this earth. I'll trust you. Well, why not choose to trust God before you leave this earth? Why not choose to trust God with whatever you're facing today? How about this? Trust God with your health. Trust God with your finances. Trust God with your love. Trust God with your friends. What about that? What about that? What about trusting God with those things? What is that thing that you don't want to surrender to God because you're really not too sure? Yeah, C says, get busy living. Yeah, well, that's the point. By the way, I've heard it said, and so have you, this is not a dress rehearsal for your life. And you're making, honestly, when I do these shows, I get, probably I'm the one who gets the most of the message, but I hope you get benefited too. That's obviously why I'm here. But it benefits me equally because it forces me to discipline myself and kind of channel in a message. What exciting possibilities are waiting out there for you to say, yes, I'm going to go for it. Whatever it is. What have you been sitting on the sidelines for? Let's say you're a woman and there's some guy you like or something. Maybe you should pick up the phone and call him. What's it matter? What if there's somebody that's been an inspiration to you and you'd like to learn from that person? What's going to stop you from making a phone call to that person? Pick up the phone. The worst you can get is rejected. And you will become a better person. What if there's a new way of making a living that you've been always thinking about, but you never decided, you just didn't really want to try? What if you started that today, tomorrow? And opened yourself to new possibilities. I've had people that have started, who attended seminars I've taught and started whole new businesses. It turned out to be enormously successful. Changed their whole lives. But the real point is, and by the way, we have to go to break. This Robert Sidell, it's the Gateway Show. Listening to the number one talk station here in Las Vegas. I'm talking tonight about let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. So I'll be back in just a moment. Stay with me. This is Robert Sidell. Those of you on the radio, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, it's funny. I'm thinking to myself tonight while I'm talking to you. What things have I been thinking and dreaming of that I haven't been doing? What about you? Let's not waste this incredible gift. Let's not waste this incredible gift. Our families tried to go to Disneyland a little bit more in the last year or so. And when you go to Disneyland, you try to go on as many rides as you can if you want to. By the way, that's not my focus as much when I go to Disneyland now, to be honest with you. I just enjoy the celebration of it all. But still, most everybody wants to get on those rides, right? Oh, I want to go to this, I'm going to go to that, I'm going to go to this, I'm going to go to that. Well, wait a minute. If you're doing that at Disneyland, why don't you do that with life? What are you waiting for? What things are hanging out there for you? What dreams are waiting for you? Think about that. What dreams are out there? What could you do? What friends could you have? What adventures are you waiting for? It's funny, it's just hitting me hard that way tonight too. What am I putting off? And I have to tell you, that's why, again, I like to do this kind of thing. I'm always cultivating my mind. I'm kind of obsessive about it. But when I'm in the shower in the morning, I'm doing affirmations. I every day I say I'm another step in heaven on earth. Another step in heaven on earth. And as I'm walking, I say I'm walking in a miraculous dimension everywhere I go. What about you? You could do that too. You could use your words, your ways. If you get my book, it has all that stuff in it. It's on Amazon.com, by the way. It's on Amazon.com also. Just 1 second here. So my friends, just start waking up in the morning and think, what could I do? Who are you afraid of offending? Who are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And really, it's funny, it's hitting me very strongly myself that way too. All those people you're afraid of what they think, sadly enough, they're not even going to be around that long into the future. So it's not worth worrying about that. I'm thinking, we're just about to go back on right now. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. It's a great pleasure to be with you here tonight on the Gateway Show on the #1 talk station in Las Vegas, also simulcasting on Facebook and also on YouTube. If you want to find me on YouTube, just type in Robert Sidell and Gateway, those two words, and you will find it. You can listen to this show again. You know, God always gives you a message for these shows. And I need to stretch my mind as much as anybody. I guarantee it. Stretch my consciousness. If I'm alive, which I am, I'm convinced that the best is yet to come. That's the foundation I live my life on. And you know, it's turned out to be true. I mean, it just has. I mean, if I could, even just in the last week, if I could tell you just in the 1 week the blessings of my life, I mean, it would be too much to talk about. But even in spite of that fact, I'm still up for whole new possibilities. And I hope you should be too. What kind of new possibilities could you be open to? What kind of fun things? Instead of living in fear all the time. You know, sometimes we just got to say goodbye to fear. We just got to say, hey, I don't care. I'm not going to let fear run my life. You may have a lot of questions. You may have a lot of doubts. That's okay. But don't let them stop your life. What I've heard it said, which I like, is that being courageous doesn't mean the lack of fear. It means really it's having a why, a reason that's big enough for you to walk through your fears to the other side. So tonight, I invite you to have a deeper relationship to God. For me, that includes and is based on the grace of Jesus Christ. But even if wherever you're at in that journey, it's up to you. Seek God first, and everything else will be added. So if you just start seeking God with all your heart, mind, and soul, you'll be guided. If it needs to be at church, whatever, you'll be guided. The second thing I want to share, a little secret here that you don't hear, I've never really talked too much on the radio about, but it's a secret that will help you unlock some potential that you may not even realize. We all have what I call our survival decisions. And survival decisions are things we've made as trying to thrive and survive in life. So I'll give you an example of the kinds of decisions. And usually we make decisions if we've encountered a reversal or if we've been judgmental. So let's say you're growing up and you're frustrated with something about your mom or dad. Most young kids have some issues with their parents at some point or another. So let's say you stop and think, well, I'm never going to be like my dad that way, or I'm never going to be like my mom that way. Which, by the way, at this point, I mostly don't have that. But if you make those decisions, what you're often doing is throwing out the baby with the bathwater, the good with the bad. So you don't want to do that, or the bad with the good. You want to retain the good. So you may have made these unconscious decisions. I can't, or forget about your parents. I can't believe in myself. Last time I believed in myself, I got myself into trouble, or something like that. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't learn from your past mistakes, but what if you have to be willing to discover these unconscious survival decisions you've made about your life. And let's say your dad is a real good communicator, but maybe sometimes has pushed you in ways you didn't like. So you kind of decided, I'm never going to be like that. So you turn off your own communication ability, when really you should learn that secret and run with it. And the same thing, what if your mom, it could be anything. Again, at the moment, I mostly really try to embrace. Where I'm at is I realize I'm a lot like both of my parents. And sometimes there are certain traits, though, that I've decided I don't really want to repeat as much. Not really necessarily bad traits. They're just habits I'd like to improve on. But the other side of it is I want to include my dad. As I said, my dad was 92 when he went to Antarctica. That's pretty positive. Traveled all around the world in his 80s. He found a very powerful love in his life in his 80s. A lot of people think life is over, and a lot of people for life is over then. And that's partly genetics, but at least his attitude was positive and strong. So the same thing I want to say to each of you. What exciting things could you do that will make you feel more aligned with God's purpose for your life? Before you go to bed tonight, pray to God and ask to be guided into the journey that God has for you. Pray to God and ask God to guide you into the journey God has for you. Wherever you are, no matter what's happening. And if you start to do that, Seek God with your heart, mind, and soul. So, but the thing is, I really want you to focus on and say, what are the decisions you've made about yourself that are holding you back? I remember once I was just really thriving and doing well, and then something happened in my life, and it was a fairly big emotional shock to me. This is over 20 years ago. But I realized I made a bunch of survival decisions out of that experience. Kind of like, I can't do this, can't do that. And some of those things were good choices. That certain areas to learn to avoid. Some of those were very good. But other parts, not really. Because one of the things is, like, I kind of found it more difficult to totally trust in my own self and my own dreams as I had when I was younger. And so, for me to be fully empowered and awakened today, I need to be able to unlock the full possibility of self-belief and self-actualization. And I can't keep it under lock and key, because that will stop me from accomplishing my dreams or fulfilling God's purpose for me. And that's some survival decisions I made were shutting me down. And that's what you need to look in your own soul. What things are shutting you down? What are things that are sabotaging you? You don't want that. You don't need that. As much as you can, when you see those things, say, God, I give it to you. I see I've been holding myself back. I see I've so not wanted to be a certain way or make that same mistake again. I'm playing small now, and I don't want to do that. Let me tell you just a general principle. So I told you, seek God in a way deeper than you've ever done before. Be like Jesus. Trust Him with all your heart, mind, and soul. Period. No holding back. Or the disciples, whatever. Trust Him completely. Make your life a passionate, fulfilling, dynamic experience. You can do that. Then, on top of that, start unearthing within yourself what you think your purpose really is. And within reason, logic. I mean, you don't want to be stupid, but on the other hand, try to sort out, and maybe you can take action. Any kind of step. There's a saying that success is 90% of success is just showing up. Surprising how many people just don't show up for things. They're given opportunities and they don't follow through. And we all do that some. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to be critical of anybody. But which of us, which opportunities have you been given but you haven't followed through on? What can you do better? My son just attended a seminar and here in Las Vegas, where this guy helped somebody make a business more successful, and his percentage of that business, and this is just money I'm talking about now, but still a mind blower, just his monthly income from that one business is $700,000 a month. That's a mind expander. By the way, that's not, I don't want to limit prosperity in my life, but my biggest dreams are in the realm of love and grace and freedom and joy. But you know what? I'm also open to prosperity too. And you should be too. Because prosperity opens you to a more fulfilling, good life. You can help people. You can begin to pursue new dreams. If you want to give money to charity, you can do that. All those things are possibilities. So I say to you, start first. Seek God without qualification. Don't wait till the last few weeks of your life. Do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes. Don't let your fears hold you back. Do what it takes. Take that next step. Tell God that you're willing, you give your life completely to God, and you accept God's direction and grace in your life completely, if that's in your heart. And then the second thing is, dare to take a stand and trust that your best is in now and in your future. I've been saying that for a long time, and then I look back over the last 5 or 6 or 7 years, and it has been the best that's ever come. As I say, I've had a lot of exciting things just in addition to the normal good things. Trip to Mexico City. Miss Mexico. A trip to NASA, speaking at NASA. These are exciting things. They're fun. Make life more worth living. And there's just some examples. And I could write a list out that would be too long to talk about. But it's not about me being better than anybody at all. Which, of course, I don't think you'd think that for what I'm saying anyway. I hope you would anyway. But it's about me saying yes to opportunities when they come my direction. So what can you and I do to walk in the right direction? That's my question for you. What can you and I do to walk in the right direction? What can we do to make our life more exciting? What can we turn on? What can we do to find the switch that turns on the power of our life? The same power that Jesus talked about when he walked on the earth. Jesus was like 32 years old when he was going out telling everybody, 32, 33. You think he woke up in the morning and said, well, gosh, I wonder if I should say this. What are people going to think about it? Maybe he did some, who knows? But in the end, he got out there anyway. What if they don't like me? What if they reject me? What if they don't believe what I'm saying? Well, you know what? A lot of people didn't believe what he was saying, but a lot of people did. And now more people believe what he was saying than any other religion on planet Earth, because he was willing to take action in the direction of his dreams, what he believed was his divine mission with God. And I personally accept that grace. You can too. It's a choice. It's 6:45. We're going to go to a break, our last break for the evening. When I come back, I've got Reverend Ernie joining us. Possibly Janet. I'm not quite sure yet. But anyway, stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment. This is Robert Sidell. Those of you on the radio, we'll be back in just a minute. Stay with us. Those on Facebook, I'll stay with you. You know, my friends, I've been a lawyer, for 47 years. I'm hearing my own commercial in my own ears. But I want you to know something. My law practice is actually just continuing to blossom and bloom, and in our own unique way. And it's funny because somebody said something to me on a very, very, very serious case. They said to me this week, and I took it as a real compliment. She says, "You're kind of like Jerry Maguire. You really go all out for your clients." I thought, yeah, that's a good role model. That's good. That's what we try to do. We kind of have our own unique approach. But you know what? It's very rewarding to us. Our clients like it. So guess what? It's a win-win for them, for me. So here I am, still refining and improving what I'm doing in my legal practice 47 years later. Kind of hard to believe, isn't it? So my friends, I can't begin to tell you the excitement of beginning to flip the switch of power on in your life. That's what you got to do. Flip that switch on. Flip that switch on. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. Don't let anybody stop you from attaining success. Don't let anybody talk you out of the best is yet to come for you. Don't let anybody talk you out of your dreams. I mean, talk them over. If they're not, you have to sort it out. That's where discernment comes in. But if you have a deep dream, continue to grow and awaken into that. Every day is opportunity. Every day is God. Every breath is God. Every moment is God. But it's up to you and I to decide what we're going to do with it. Every day, every moment is divine grace and divine freedom. See something here. Just a second, I send a message here. Okay. So just double checking with Ernie. I know he's trying to be here. I want to make sure he's not having any trouble. So my friends, I only have one message to you and I. Let's remember, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. And let's make it happen. Here we go, back in there. Um, oh, uh, this, somebody just posted something on Facebook. This is Robert Sidell. This is the Gateway Show on from 6 to 7 every Sunday evening. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. And I just want you to know it's an honor and a privilege. And it's a wonderful experience for me. And I really appreciate it. C just posted on Facebook, sharing this with somebody very special, people that need to hear this uplifting, true message. Fear is terrible. And we have to turn our fear into opportunity is all we can really do. The fear is a normal and natural human function, and sometimes it's there to protect us. We have to have the discernment to make that decision. But if we let it stop us from reaching for dreams and it causes us to live in a shallow, narrow world, it's no good, friends. It's no good. God is waiting to bless you. Years ago, it's funny, I don't know what happened to Ernie. Interesting. He has not checked in yet. Huh. Let me check something here. Just a minute. I want to make sure there's no problem here. Hold on just 1 second here. Let's see here. No, he's not there. Okay, well, I hope he comes back in a minute, but I can't control that. Let's see here. All right. Oops. What am I doing here? Oh, I just did something wrong. So anyway, my friends, it's a blessing to be here. Like I say, I don't know. Usually Ernie is logged in by now. I don't know what happened. Oops. Sorry, I'm just trying to do a couple different things here. Okay, there we go. We're in good shape here. So in any event, it's a great pleasure for me. I guess what I'll do, like I say, if Ernie doesn't show up, I will just I have a way to resolve it. I'm just surprised because he was going to be here. So I'm just he's usually very timely, so I don't know exactly what's going on. Hold on a second here. Just a minute here. Huh. Well, in any event, I'm still hoping he tunes in, but the bottom line is, because I know he was on here a little bit ago, but I don't know exactly what happened. It's kind of the bottom line. But it's so I'm going to just do a couple different things here myself, and hopefully he'll still show up, but we'll find out in a couple of minutes. You know what, my friends? Every moment of this life is a gift, and it's up to us what we do with it. And that's the main thing I want to say to you tonight about that. It's like, let's make this into a great experience. An experience that's so good that you want to tell your friends about it. A life that's so good that you'll, hold on 1 second here. Okay, there we go. That you'll be telling everybody. So let's go ahead and do a prayer right now. I'm going to do a prayer for everybody listening right now. Again, this is for everybody, whoever may listen in the future too. Dear friends, this is Robert Sidell, and I pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And also, I honor the infinite presence of God in all the different ways God shows up in our lives. And I pray wherever you are and whoever you are, that the infinite grace bestowing power of grace surrounds you and protects you and lifts you up and heals you. That you are lifted into a wonderful new future. Let's see something here. That amazing things are coming to you in this life. I pray that God deliver you from the pain and suffering you may be going through. I pray that grace and healing fill your life. I pray that you be forgiven of your shortcomings. I pray that you be blessed in your strength. I pray that you reach out to the people around you and share the love in your hearts with the people around you. I pray that God reveal himself to you in a very real way, so real that you would never want to back out of it. And you never want to doubt it. I pray that this moment, this night, be a moment where the spark of divine grace is awakened in your heart, soul, and mind. I pray that you be forgiven and forgive yourself for any failures and mistakes of your past. I pray that amazing good things come to you in this life. I pray to you that you might know divine freedom and true liberation from the suffering and struggles of your life. I pray that you might find a pathway forward that is greater, more beautiful, more magnificent than ever before. I pray that the right people show up in your life at the right moments. I pray if there's any people that are troubling or causing problems in your life, that they be gently moved on to another future. I pray, beloved God, that you might be awakened, that all people might be awakened to the highest possibility of their lives. I pray right now for our whole country. I pray for our city first, that love and grace and healing be here with our city. That the city may awaken to the true potential that's available. I pray, beloved God, that amazing healing might be known by anybody who needs healing. Healing in mind, spirit, and body. I pray that amazing grace and joy be made available to you. I pray that God's love enfolds you and surrounds you. I pray that you let go of your hurts from the past and you open yourself to new beginnings. I pray that your hurts and traumas and adversities of the past be healed. I pray that once again dreams arise in your heart and mind, so you might be awakened to a new beginning. I pray that you will not be afraid to trust in God, and that God's grace will explain to you and show you how to go forward. I pray that divine light surrounds you and enfolds you right now. I pray for healing in mind, spirit, and body for you right now. I pray that you be lifted up into divine joy right now. I pray that your marriages be harmonized. I pray that your work environment be productive and joyous. I pray that you are surrounded by opportunity and your eyes can see the opportunity. Pray that God's infinite love will be with you now and forever, guiding you, protecting you, and watching over you in whatever way you're going. I pray that you be healed in mind, spirit, and body. So my friends, I think we're out of time, but I want you to know it's been a great pleasure to be with you here tonight. I know Ernie was here, so I'm not really sure what happened. I hope he's okay. I'll check in with him, Reverend Ernie. But I just want you to know it's a great pleasure to be with you here. This is Robert Sidell, it's the Gateway, and I'm trusting your best days are in your future and reminding you, miracles are real, and for that reason, the best is yet to come. God bless. This is Robert Sidell. Have a great week.